If you're someone who struggles to rotate your body on the backswing and you find yourself saying things like, I'm too old to rotate, I'm too stiff to rotate, I'm not flexible enough, or my body doesn't move like that, I'm here to tell you, if you can get in your car and put on your seatbelt, then 9 times out of 10, you're probably flexible enough to make a backswing turn that's going to be adequate for your golf swing. However, you may be setting up to the ball or doing things that severely limits your rotation. I'm going to try and help you unlock some of this rotation with this video. So number one mistake I see as it pertains to how amateur golfers that struggle to rotate set up to the golf ball is they will almost always set up with too much knee flex at setup. This severely limits the amount of rotation we're going to be able to make in the backswing. So my suggestion is stand to the ball with nice, tall, soft knees. This is going to make it way easier to change knee flex, get your lower body moving a little bit more, and create a bigger turn to your body. Number two is how players position their knees at setup. It's not something commonly talked about, but players that typically struggle to rotate, they'll set up to the ball, and for one reason or another, they will take their knees and try to bow them outwards. Again, this severely locks up my range of motion in my lower body. It's going to be exceptionally difficult to rotate in the backswing. So my suggestion, you can have these knees in a nice relaxed position, or my recommendation, if you're going to make a mistake, make them bend a little or bow a little bit more inwards to the point where your kneecaps are kind of over your ankles. The reason this helps is in the backswing, we're going to want this lead knee to move in towards the ball. And if it's forcing itself outward, it's just going to be so restricted and so difficult to move this lower body. So avoid that position where the knees are bowed outward if you're someone who struggles with rotation. Number three is going to be how players position their feet. So this one is a little bit subjective, but specifically in the backswing, if you're someone who really struggles to rotate, my suggestion would be to take your trail foot, for me that's my right foot here, and just flare it out 10 or 15 degrees. Now, what this does is it frees up a little bit of range of motion in the knee, in the hip joint, and it's just going to help you unlock a little bit more of that rotation. Now, if you're someone who wants to rotate more on both sides, totally fine to take both feet and flare them both out, 10, 15 degrees. The last thing I would make sure you're doing is that setup, we want to have our weight distributed correctly. So a lot of times players that struggle to rotate, they will set up with too much weight in the heels, okay? So in a good kind of sequence or a good pressure trace, we're really looking for, in the backswing, pressure to move to the trail side early, but then into the trail heel, right? So if we're moving into that trail heel, it's going to allow the trail hip to get some depth, to get those hips turning, to create some rotation, right? Well, if we start in the heels, let's just say I have all my weight back on my heels, there's really nowhere to dynamically move to, and so the player often kind of sits back in the heels and just lifts the arms, and there's not a lot of rotation that I will typically see. So those are some things you really got to pay attention to at setup that I think will help you rotate more. Now, as it pertains to the backswing, again, this is just for you if you're trying to rotate a little bit more. One of the simplest things I see is players that don't allow their knees to change flex, or really just allow their knees to move in the backswing. So if you watch players that rotate really well, what you'll commonly see is in the backswing, their trail leg will extend slightly and lose some flex. Now, I wouldn't want you to lock this knee. I don't think that's awesome. But you can allow this trail knee to lose some flex. And at the same time, this lead knee is allowed to flex down and move towards the ball. I think some amateur golfers get tied up in trying to make a perfect swing where nothing moves, and they try to just keep their knees from moving, and it really restricts how they use their lower body. So from the face-on view, I would love to see players, allow this trail knee to extend, the trail side to get a little taller, and then allow this lead knee to move in towards the ball, something like that, so you can turn really well. Now, this gets a little bit more into your specific pattern, but how a player manages their spine is very important for rotation as well. So a common mistake I'll see, this is commonly referred to as like a reverse pivot, right? The player will slide the trail hip outside the trail foot, and they will lean the upper body towards the target, and by doing so, they really struggle to rotate and maybe even load behind the ball, right? So if that's you, what can you start to do? Well, number one, I would love to see you just learn without a golf club how to do the correct move. So take 2 alignment sticks, put one close to your trail foot, and put the other across your shoulders. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure we can match these alignment sticks up, but that's not good enough in itself because you could slide your trail hip to get that to work. So what I'd like you to do is take an object, like a golf bag, something like that, and put it right beside your trail hip. So I've got a little golf club right here, that'll work. Just any type of object that can sit right here by your trail hip. And again, we're going to try to move our hip away from the golf bag while matching these sticks up on the ground. So it'll look something like this. Now, if you can get your body to move around like this, again, you can see my knees are bowed in, my feet are flared. I've got nice, tall, soft knees. My weight is distributed properly in the balls of my feet. I'm going to make sure this trail hip works straight back. I'm going to make sure these shoulders are matching up the stick right here. Perfect. Okay, and that's going to unlock a lot of rotation for you. So if you're someone who struggles to turn on the backswing, try this out. Thanks for watching.